It's January 21st, 2009, and Richard Garriott is still finishing his space flight. He is literally still in the middle of NASA and ESA medical experiments. He is literally still in the middle of his Earth observation analysis, as well as the particle crystal growth stuff he's wrapping up. And that's going to take him some weeks and months to wrap up.
Games, video 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 games.
But someday in the future, it's hard not to assume he will get back into gaming. He still personally believes he has lots of great ideas and desire to build games. It's just today, it's space.
This is Idle Thumbs.
Does he have a plan that he can tell you now? No.
15. And I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Breckon.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
Hey!
Hey! Games!
We're ready to go, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
We love games.
Yeah. This is the first time in a while that it's just been the regular three of us, actually.
Yeah, we got those 2K
core
fuckers
crew.
out of here.
It's a retro podcast for you guys. Anyway.
Remember the good old times back in 2008 when there were just three of us sometimes?
Yeah. Those are good times.
You can live those times again today with Idle Thumbs.
Sweet.
15. And I'm Chris Ramo.
Thanks. So, yeah. I guess we can lead with what I was doing as you guys arrived at my apartment, which was playing the Dawn of War 2 multiplayer beta.
As you, the readers, arrived at Chris's apartment.
Oh, yeah. Well, I forgot. I'm already not talking to
Every episode's like, coming to Chris's apartment.
Yeah, earlier.
It's like
guys
Pooh's
arrived
Corner,
at my
but,
apartment.
with games.
Who's Corner?
Yeah.
You got the cop cars driving by.
Yeah.
You got Chris. Anyway, you were playing the Dawn of War 2 beta.
I was playing that. Actually, it was pretty hilarious because I didn't have Soulstorm. I own Dawn of War Gold Edition, but I didn't own Soulstorm, which is the latest expansion pack and which was required to let you into the beta.
The key into the beta.
Exactly, yeah. And so I was looking on the Steam page and looking at it. It's a $30 expansion, and I was really seriously considering it. I'm like, oh man, I want to play this game so bad. I want to play it. It's got a new video card. It's going to be a sweet reason to use my computer, like with crazy things on the screen. Like, awesome. I want to buy it. And then it was amazing. I refreshed the Steam page and it became $7.50.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know what you guys are up to, you assholes. Clearly, sales of Soulstorm went up like 1,000% today. I wouldn't be surprised if it shows up on the Steam
there's
bestseller
probably a
list
set
for
number of
day.
people who have Soulstorm, but don't have any other games in the series. They dropped the $750 for the beta key.
Right. Yeah. And so I got it and I made it start downloading it when I was at work, and then by the time I got home it was done. And I started playing it. And I really did not actually play very much of Dawn of War. Like I own it, but I just didn't play very much of it. I kind of missed the sort of an initial phase of excitement over that game. And by the time I got into it, there was a lot of stuff, other stuff I played, and I did a little bit of the campaign, and that was it. So I felt
it just wasn't cool anymore, so you didn't play it.
Yeah,
it wasn't the cool game to be playing.
Yeah, I only play games that are totally being talked about. So, no, I don't know. I just, for some reason, there's always a billion games on my backlog, and that one just wasn't lucky enough, I guess, to make the cut.
Don't talk about your backlog.
Why?
Oh, it's just gross sounding.
All right. Thanks for introducing that.
I don't know. That could be a horrible blues song as well, though. I've got games on my backlog.
Sweet.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, Jake. Jake's off. Kicking this show off in fine form here.
Welcome.
Sort of weird,
backlog.
tired, strange Jake.
It's cool.
It's one of the Jake archetypes.
Well, I just got a lot of games on my backlog right now, so trying to shake them.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway,
you were playing the DOW2 beta.
Yep. And I downloaded it. It was cool, and I'm
40K.
playing it 40K, and didn't really know what I was doing. It was the classic sort of RTS experience of being on a team with some other dudes and sort of just fiddling around and clearly fucking it up for everybody. Like, as I have my three little dudes sort of, walking around and kind of like, shit, what do I do? Shit.
Look at all this
team's
cool
like
stuff
flick on the
everywhere.
left, and you guys are like, hey, cool, I can shoot stuff with this big dude.
I built 8 power stations and I had no production capacity. Just
because the voice sounded cool.
Oh man, you know what actually I really enjoyed for some reason, this game has little tooltips that pop up
Yeah.
to help you the first time you do a certain thing.
Because it's for noobs.
Because it's for noobs, exactly. And it's got a little voice that reads them, and the girl who says resource, she pronounces it like it has a Z in it. She says resource. And like resources. You've got to get all your resources.
It's her rap name.
It's her rap name?
Yeah.
I'll take that. So I enjoyed that. But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I mean, I don't know.
There have to be like classes, like how like they for movie actors where they teach them different dialects and stuff. There has to be like a computer voice class.
There's got to be. There's enough call
like,
for that.
Yeah,
especially in video games.
Mm-hmm. Like there has to be some like master of computer voice.
It's actually like a computer.
Some lady who's the equivalent of like
computer voice.
The trailer guy who's in everything.
It's the lady who did all like the time on the phone for 30 years and stuff.
It's resources, not resources.
Yeah, you've got to have that weird like affectation for some reason. Like you sound proper this way.
Computers are proper. They don't fuck around. But they sound so hot all the same.
Except when they're DLs. And then they wink.
Yeah. Man, speaking of hot computers, like I gotta just sort of say, I don't. This is going back to an old game at this point, but not old, but a year old. Halo 3. All this shit. Did you guys play Halo 3?
Sexy.
No.
Like I don't know. There was this whole weird like pseudo romantic, like the plot thread between Master Chief and Cortana, the computer.
Right?
Yeah, Cortana. It was fucking weird. They were like. I don't know. It was very bizarre. Like, as far as I'm aware, she is fully an AI. Like, she's not a cyborg or something. She is a computer, like an actual.
They cut the sex scene after the hot copy scandal.
Well, I mean, there are parts when seriously, like,
there's like grinding up against the terminal.
Are they going to embrace some like kits now? Like what? Like I don't. Yeah, it was pretty mature.
New themes, they're hitting those hard topics.
It was very weird.
Computer love.
But anyway, Dawn of War 2. I can't speak much about the sort of depth of the game or anything, especially because I'm so new to it. But I have to say this is pretty much exactly what I wanted this game to be, which was I get to be a bunch of hilarious space orcs, like building tin can robots that stomp around and like pick up enemy space marines and throw them.
Yeah, you had like 4 of those pincher guys.
I just kept buying more and more of them. I'm like, well, whatever. These guys are way more hilarious than like anything in another RTS. Just gonna build those. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching you play, and your game did consist of like a sort of tank that looked like it was made out of trash cans, and like 4 mechs that had comedy pincher arms sort of flopping around. I was like, okay, I guess that's pretty awesome. I wanted to play the game after seeing that. Nick, on the other hand, a real gamer, may have different thoughts.
All those are old units. They're from the last game. That's been done.
Well, they're from the source material. What do you want them to do?
No, I don't know. I've never been like a huge fan of Dawn of War, so I can't come out and like criticize it a whole lot. But
you're going to.
Well, I played it for about an hour, and
that's all you need.
You know what? It is, Jay.
Oh, snap
judgments.
But no, I do want to hear this. I'd like to actually hear you go into it because I feel like I'm not nearly probably as up on the genre as you are, and I'd be curious to hear kind of what you're actually.
Well, I mean, to me, the game is a lot like Company of Heroes. Like they've clearly taken a ton of mechanisms from that game and just directly ported it, just even in just the way that things look and the cover system that they're using, where you can it gives you that little yellow dot where you can put units behind cover and stuff. That's all ripped right from Company of Heroes. So it's basically a direct compilation of those 2 games. Which is cool. Like I was
That's kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah, and so was I. And I was excited.
You were disappointed that your expectations were met and not exceeded.
Well, you know what?
Exceeded.
Maybe it's because I played a lot of Company of Heroes recently, and that might have something to do with it. But also, I think I'm just a base guy. Like I like.
I thought you were about to say maybe it's because I'm just a baby.
Maybe I'm just a huge whiny baby. I'm Nick Breckon.
Yeah.
You are being a huge baby.
I probably am.
No, that's cool.
People will call me a baby.
So you hate
bases. So you like base building?
I like base building, and this game is completely, streamlined that whole process. It's pretty. They said, you're going to be building bases on the, front lines now instead of but you're not. You can build a turret here and there.
Oh, the turrets and resource.
But that's about it, really. I mean, it's mostly about units, and they're certainly appealing to people who just want, like a. More
get into the front lines like real quick.
Kind of get in the front lines and do more action type stuff, which is cool. I like that. I appreciate the fact that there will now be StarCraft II will be its sort of ramped up version of the base building sort of archetype, and then there'll be this, which is completely the opposite. I like that there'll be those 2 options.
Right. I have to say, it's funny that you mentioned that because I didn't actually think about this when I was playing, but now that you bring it up, it's actually sort of a weird thing that's going on in my brain, like a weird conflict, because I feel like I really like base building, and when I play StarCraft, I really enjoy like being the Protoss and building 1 million photon cannons and building my 18 million starports and generating 1,000 carriers all at once. But in reality, I never ever actually succeed at doing that better than the better dude on BattleNet can do it. Like, he always builds more buildings and has the better build order and just knows the correct sequence. And like, I always feel like in that game, as much as I love, and I played a lot of StarCraft, and I actually got to the point where I was pretty decent on BattleNet. Like I could win games on a fairly regular basis. Yeah. But I still, it always felt like you had to solve this puzzle. And like once, you know what I mean? Like, that's probably not, I mean, I understand. It's
less a puzzle and more
I think at the highest, I think at the highest level, that's true, but there's still a certain amount of,
because it is like chess in a way that you have different, build orders or, opening moves, you know what I mean? And so it's true. Not so much a puzzle, but that's true. You do sort of have to have that basic knowledge.
I think to me,
it allows for a much wider range of skill.
Obviously, that's true, and I don't think I ever talked about this on Idle Thumbs, which is weird because I've had so many weeks to talk about it. But the
Far Cry 2,
the GOM TV like StarCraft 2,
those are great.
Intel Classic matches. Yeah. I love that stuff, and like clearly, there's a lot of really genuine sort of spur of the moment strategy going on there. People reacting with actual sort of strategic plans that they're modifying over the course of the game. That stuff's amazing, and you guys should go to, is it gomtv.net, gomtv.net? So, like, anyone who isn't aware of this should go there, and I think it just ended actually. Or it is ending soon. I think I missed the finals, but they have all the matches archived. It's just a big, crazy StarCraft tournament in Korea, and it's amazing. But I guess I feel a lot of times on a practical level, like when I'm actually sitting down and playing StarCraft, I feel the same way I do about a certain type of like 2D fighting game, which is that there's all this sort of just rote stuff I have to internalize first. Like all these like move combos, or in the case of StarCraft, as well, actually. Yeah, I kind of see what you mean there. Although that game is so like lightning quick. I guess just clan play on like Dust. Yeah, right. Everyone goes to like a certain place, and you're like, wait, what? Yeah, fuck that. Yeah. But there's like, and that's not like a sort of a negative point on those games. It just makes it makes me stressed out that I know that if I don't execute these technical things correctly, I'm sort of just setting myself up for my strategies to be less effective, which, again, that's just part of sort of a thing that has that level of depth to it, but it also does kind of freak me out. And for some reason, like, after playing games for as long as I have, like, you don't want to be freaked out anymore. I'm kind of like, you're too old for this shit. It sounds stupid, but that's actually kind of how I feel. You stay in the kiddie pool now? Fucking Nintendogs? Yeah. When I was in college and playing a lot of StarCraft, I guess that game's still huge, but, huger at the time. Like, I for some reason was just more tolerant of my games like giving me a heart attack. You know what I mean? Like, I'd play through a whole StarCraft game and I'll be on edge the entire time, even when nothing exciting's happening. Well, something might happen. Because I know that an invisible man is building shit like as fast or faster than I am. Right. Yeah. You'll eventually see it and then realize the degree to which you're about to be raped. Yeah. Or you'll never see it if the guy is fucking That's good. The crazy mind fuck of RTS games. You know what I mean? Where like it's really, sort of like what we were talking about last week, where if there was like, well, that wasn't on the podcast. Never mind. Well, you can say it. Just bring it up. Well, no, we were talking about the concept of a game where if there was one boss, and just you, and then if that boss was off, in a Far Cry 2 style world, with this boss in pursuit of you, and it occasionally will show up or show up. Yeah, but you just knew he was out there. But that would just it would be the same like stasis lock of RTS one-on-one is like that. Yeah, I know it is. Yeah, the fog of war basically means like one of two things will happen. One, you're in perpetual fear of this crazy rapist who's like building a base, or two, the base rapist, you're lulled into like a hilarious sense of security where you're like, I'm rocking, this is fucking amazing. And then like all this shit I'm right on the edge of the fog of war, you sort of see the one little scout go and swoop in, and it's like, oh shit, what does that mean? Right. And then like nuke drops. 20 seconds later, you're just raped by the entire screen. Nuclear launch detected. Nuclear launch detected. Oh shit. Yeah, I actually, I mean,
So you're saying that you like Dawn of War because it's more casual.
I kind of do. I mean, I really mean that. Like, I'm playing that game. And
I can appreciate that, but at the same time, I do think there will be hardcore players because I think the depth in Dawn of War 2 is more on a sort of micromanagement.
Yeah, it is, and
characters have lots of different skills and things. That
I will admit, despite everything I just said, I'm better at macro than micro. Like, despite all that stress shit, so I have a feeling.
That's the way I feel about it too.
Right, so I have a feeling that I am not ever probably going to be like a top tier Dawn of War player, but I'm hoping that, I mean, based on Xbox Live, all the experience I had playing like Halo and stuff on Xbox Live, they're using the same matchmaking system for this, and I think it's a really good matchmaking system.
So you could become king of the noobs,
right? Like, there's less. I think there's probably. I mean, I guess people could just go and make new accounts all the time and game it, but
why would you do that though? Why would that be fun?
People did that in StarCraft, but it's a little more cumbersome to make
waste of your life to
make a new live account than it is to make a new Battle.net account, which literally is a one-step process.
Yeah.
So I think there's going to be less of that stupid shit, and I hope that, I don't know, I hope it works well. I'm glad that they're using that natively and are sort of making sure that
hopefully also things like gamer points and achievements keep people from doing that, because if you make a new account, what's the fucking point?
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah, that's actually good. I didn't think of that. That's a good point.
It also has to be tied to an email address on Games for Windows, so that would be really obnoxious to have to create a new one.
But
Hotmail.
Okay, all right.
MSN Hotmail.
It would take 3 seconds.
It would take many times longer than it would to make a new Battle.net account, is the point. But anyway, going to what you said about the casual thing, honestly, like, just playing it now, and obviously right now everybody's new to this game. I mean, there's a lot of people who are already familiar with the first Dawn of War, but I mean, I'm playing it with a bunch of new people.
Very different game.
And so
in that it's the same as Company of Heroes.
Right. And so obviously the scenario is a little different, but still, it was so much fun, seriously, just to go on there and build a bunch of shit and stomp around with my big, hilarious walking tanks and just shoot it. Like, it was an experience that was so immediately gratifying in a way that StarCraft isn't, and that's not a knock on StarCraft, because I'm going to play the shit out of that game when it comes out. Like, I guarantee here and now.
We will all play the shit out of that game.
We will all play the shit out of that game. Like, I sound like I'm dumping on it, but I'm not. I'm just trying to differentiate it from this game, because they're obviously so different. And
so you're saying StarCraft jumped the shark, pretty much?
Yeah, pretty much. That's what I'm saying.
Split it into 3 games?
Blizzard.
Oh,
God. No, but I don't know.
We're all just possessed by Steve, possibly.
The 3 games thing is weird. I mean, presumably that means the first one will come out this year. Otherwise, it'll be a billion years until.
I think we talked about that back when this news came out, like back in a single-digit Idle Thumbs.
Probably.
Had we started Idle Thumbs when that came out?
I think that was new news.
Yeah, because I just kind of.
I mean, it's weird that it's split into 3 games, but I think
I don't mind at all.
And I think, as I said then, I mean, all 3 of those games are probably going to contain a StarCraft worth of content,
right?
Or close enough.
Yeah, at least on the single-player side.
That's what I mean. Yeah. Well, anyway. Doesn't the multi have more races available?
No, all the races. It would be because you need to be able to play all 3 races in multiplayer from the beginning.
Yeah. I mean, the first game will include the multiplayer. I'm going to guess that they'll tweak or add some units or stuff.
I'm sure they'll add units, because they added units.
It'll be like a Brood War style update.
Exactly.
Like I would hope.
But the single player will have whole new stuff. But anyway, I don't know. I had such a fucking blast playing this game. It was just really immediate in a way that I was talking to Soren Johnson about this, the guy who was the lead on Civ 4 and moved to Maxis, and he was talking about how he thinks the RTS genre has just been kind of phasing itself out of existence by just getting increasingly sort of more cumbersome. And I completely agree with him. It's harder and harder.
It just depresses me. Because I feel like as a genre, that's just what it is.
Like RTS is your flight sim?
Well, I guess, yeah, in a way. Like I just, when I play those games that are that are obviously designed, going in that direction.
Like for a baby.
Right. Well, when I play like Halo Wars, like it's a well-designed game. I can see everything that they've done. Yeah. Well, but
did you get review code of that? They sent that out. We got it in the office today.
I haven't touched it yet.
Yeah, I haven't either, yeah.
But I played the game.
Yeah.
But it's just...
No, I agree. That game is like an egregious example of it. The difference is, I think, that game tries to be a much more traditional RTS, but it's like a hilariously simplified version of it. Mm-hmm. Whereas to me, Dawn of War just feels like a hybrid of an action game and an RTS. And I'm like, this is like just a cool thing. It's just on its own, like... Just on its own merits, this is like a really cool game.
Check your expectations at the door, Breckon.
I don't know. To me, like,
well, I love Company of Heroes, so I mean, I'm not saying I'm not a fan of that hybrid style.
And I understand what you're saying, also, but
But
when
to
you
say
think
that the
about
genre, to have a complex RTS is killing the genre, to me, it's like, I wish
it's
that-
not like
I think there are things that they can do to make a game like StarCraft
Empire's coming
less
out next
daunting.
month. I mean, what are you worried about? I don't
Well,
know.
no, I'm not.
Well, I mean,
I'm not like worried. I'm just saying. I think there are other ways to go than
you can streamline it in ways that aren't stripping things
Well, I think
down.
there are.
I mean,
I think there are. You look at Dawn of War, you look at StarCraft II, you look at Empire Total War. That's an amazing spectrum to be coming out in 1 year. Like I would say that's a pretty great thing for RTS players, for all that shit to be available
you can't
in
complain
2008.
this year. It's gonna be a good year for RTS.
Yeah. I mean,
it's the year of the video game.
Yep.
one of his arguments was that most of these genres reached the thing that made them popular in an era when they were less complicated. And he said the same thing about Civilization. Like the thing that made those games, like if Civilization 4 had come out in 1993, it's probably pretty unlikely it would have attracted the same. Like people would have just loaded that up and been like, "What the fuck? Are you serious?"
Right.
Like it's crazy. It's a daunting thing.
Making
That's
So the popularity of
that's
the
not an
franchise
RTS,
is not.
but
Well, yeah, but
is
just-
not.
I mean, that's like, it's the same thing with SimCity 4 and now you're managing 4,000 layers of like the crazy, like, like this
Plumbing.
Freeways and
Right, where it's-
and the trains
not
and
like
fucking
that game.
monorails.
That game became popular because you could make commercial, industrial, or residential zones, power train and roads, and
Right.
you'd build a city. But then it's like, sweet. What if we exposed the sewer system? What if we did freeways connecting the towns? What if we pursued alternative energy sources?
yeah. And I don't. And
I
Nick,
mean,
yeah.
people have been playing that. The games want that stuff, but when a genre sort of starts eating itself because it's only
Yeah.
serving that group of
Like-
fans, like the
yeah.
adventure genre did the same thing.
And the bullet hell genre, like the shoot 'em up genre.
Yeah, it's just they're if all the
Well,
same
see-
developers are just like doing more advanced iterations of the same thing, but no one is ever sort of making a new offshoot of the sort of fresh stuff that people are attracted
That's
to in the first
basically
place.
what I mean. Yeah.
But I mean that applies to so many old PC genres.
Yeah, it really does. The PC. I mean, that really is almost any big PC genre except for like first person shooters. You could say that about.
Yeah.
But Nick,
I wish that modes in those games, when you talk about easy, normal, and hard, I wish they didn't just scale like how hard,
how
much money you get.
It's a surprising
I
amount of
wish-
design work to make that scale.
I know.
And then
That's
it
the
unlocks
challenge,
a
but-
different entire gameplay style.
Yeah, it would be pretty difficult. But I wish that there was some way to include,
Or some developers could just decide they're going to make an entry level game, and then you could not play it because someone's making a hardcore game.
Right.
I mean, what?
Oh,
What? You don't
No, I
need
know,
to play every RTS that comes out. Like
yeah.
that's
No. I know.
that's one of those things that like.
SimCity Societies.
Yeah. Well,
Great.
Well, fucking
I don't know.
CivRev. What?
Well, wait for
yeah.
Cities XL. That game looks freaking ridiculous. I mean, we already talked about it, so I won't again. But
Tell me about Cities XL.
no.
Well played.
So anyway, Nick, I do understand where you're coming from. I mean, there is something to be said for not just using sort of populism as game design. Like, obviously, I guess I just feel like right now I'm looking at that genre at the moment, and there seems to be such a great spectrum that I guess I just don't have anything to complain about in that particular genre at the moment, because I'm also really looking forward to Empire.
But yeah, like
That's what,
yeah.
March?
Yeah. Yep. March.
Yep. Empire Total War.
Yeah.
That game, to me, seems to be getting so much more hype than most of the Total War games did. I don't know if you guys... Do you guys have any
what's
sense
the
of that?
Empire Total War this time?
It's
What? It's like
Yeah.
right. I think Rome was probably the most hyped. But,
Oh, I guess
but
that's...
since I think
that time
because
period
medieval
is
was
just so attractive.
medieval had already been done, maybe it was
Yeah,
sort of just
yeah,
kinda
medieval
like,
too, yeah.
People
but
thought
now
it was
there's
based on the
something
TV show Rome.
What? Pretty sure that game predates Rome by a while.
new. Yeah.
So the TV show is like licensed from the game property. So
That'd be great.
I got that backwards.
That would be
I didn't know.
hilarious
like-
if that were the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bruno Hell's
Man, you guys have
dialogue.
this sweet setting. There's like all these columns and like all your dudes have this like copper. What'd you think of this shit? We got to make a TV series out of this. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Games.
Video games.
Games.
Did you guys see the declarations by Sony Computer Entertainment's Kaz Hirai today?
Oh yeah.
I
Yeah,
did not
that shit
see
was
them.
insane.
Jake did not see it.
But I know,
see it.
I don't know. People in charge of Sony, especially when they draw the attention of the games community, it's usually for saying amazing things.
Crazy shit.
But you have not, in fact, seen this.
I saw that some crazy stuff was said by a Sony exec and said "hoo hoo," and then I decided to not read it.
Okay. Was that?
Well, I have his comments called up if you would like a recap.
I would
Jake.
love a
Go
recap.
ahead, recap that shit, Nick.
Well, Kaz Hirai told the official PlayStation magazine, he said that the PlayStation 3 will continue official leadership in this industry. Sony will. He said that the Xbox 360 is something that lacks longevity. Microsoft has never had a console that's been on the market for more than 4 or 5 years, and we've committed to a 10-year life cycle, so you do the math.
Do that
Nice.
fucking
Do
math.
the math, Jake.
Fucking do
Oh,
it.
is this the stuff where he's like peripherals or fucking gimmicks?
Wait, are you doing the math?
Wait, was the math?
I hear math going
Unless
on in your
things
head.
go really bad, he added, there's no way that at the end of a life cycle, our competition is going to have a higher install base. And then he went on and said,
I think this is my favorite one coming up.
yeah, this one is priceless. The PS3, oh wait, where is it? He says, okay, he's explaining why the PlayStation 3 is hard to develop for. It's hard to program for, and a lot of people see the negatives of it. But if you flip that around, it means that hardware has a lot more to offer. He used God of War as an example of how, a game can look good at the end of its life cycle. We don't provide the easy to program for console that developers want, because easy to program for means that anybody will be able to take advantage of pretty much what the hardware can do. So then the question is, what do you do for the rest 9.5 years?
Jake Aper is
I don't
flabbergasted.
fucking know.
What do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do?
You make games easily and release titles for your platform.
This is the best.
Like, wait, that's what you do. I
They've
think.
mistaken the games for the games journalist community. Crazy puzzle that will take them 9 years to figure out, and then when they do, they'll get a picture with good graphics. What? Why not? What?
You see,
I mean, I don't know.
It's a plan. It's a plan.
They
They've
have a
got
plan.
a 10-year plan.
We deliberately
Spend the first
obfuscate
9.5 years.
to throttle the perceived fidelity of the consoles. People are more surprised when developers have spent 9 years busting their ass for an engine they'll throw away the next year when the PlayStation 4 comes out.
Yeah,
Nice.
I love the idea that you spend 9.5 years cracking the code, after which point the PS4 comes out.
Right.
Fuck!
Secretly an ARG spread across the development community.
Yeah.
Except that developers don't tell each other that shit. So
I also like that Microsoft hasn't had a console that lasted more than 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
well,
right.
they had one console before this. Like this is their second one. Like okay.
Yeah, that's it's true though.
It is. You can't really deny it.
Well, if you do the math, I guess it's pretty irrefutable.
I mean, that's true that everyone's original Xbox did explode the day that the 360 came out. So that was fucked up.
Yeah, that's too bad.
So none of those lasted.
Oh, man. Sony.
I don't even know what more to say about this.
No,
it kind of
it's pretty.
It kind of just speaks for itself.
yeah,
but
it really does.
the official leader is pretty great. Like my favorite thing about declaring Sony the official leader is that that's actually the opposite of what it is. It's like with the PS3, this is the official leadership. Like,
well, they have the official sponsorship of leading. That doesn't mean that it's number one in sales.
Like who declares that? Like who's the official who?
Yeah.
Like I don't know.
The official of leading.
The leading official.
That stuff sounds so much like the old Ken Kutaragi stuff.
Yeah, it really does.
It's like
doesn't
it's
it?
exact like an audio stream of him fell through a time warp and accidentally was playing in a tape recorder in some other guy's
that
pocket,
reminds
and
me
he was
of
quoted.
Kutaragi's. Like Kutaragi was the guy who said you'll work another job to get the PS3, right?
Yeah.
This is like that, but for developers.
Right.
Yeah.
You'll work 9.5 years to make games on our system. It's
I don't know. Sony seems to go through this weird extreme highs and lows of hubris and humility about this stuff where it's like, you're gonna fucking want to work 9 years to get good graphics. We're sorry. We're gonna, we're coming back. We're gonna rock this shit like we did with the PS2, but we already are because people are just gonna crack the code. Like,
Right.
What?
Yeah.
You're gonna work 3 jobs. We got some cool titles coming out. It's cool. Hang tight, guys. Home's almost out. Wait, fuck this shit.
It's just you've basically got like Jack Tretton and Kaz Hirai like vying for
right, exactly.
Yeah, right.
punching each other out. Wait a second, like next fucking year, man. Like what? Wait, what?
Yeah, that is too bad. We don't want developers to make shit that looks amazing now.
Or alternatively, we don't want all the developers doing it. We only want them. Like, he's like, if you did that, anyone could make things easily on this system.
Yeah, that's...
Imagine if that happened. You'd be letting all the riffraff in.
There'd be
It's like Sony's got like their butler at the like shooing developers
weird.
away at the door.
That's one of those things that, I mean, I was going to say I'm sure it will go away, but I would hope that it would go away because I mean, I don't know long term in the lifespan of the 360 and the PS3, but the fact that Microsoft has gone out of their way to make so much of their development accessible with, I mean, you know, from what I've heard from programmers in the world, a good set of official development APIs and XNA. There's just a shitload of content on the 360 on all fronts. Like there is, I mean, all that said, you look at the PlayStation 3 and like the few things that are on PSN are like generally pretty impressive.
PSN lineup is pretty amazing.
It's fucking good. So I mean, like the butler might have done a job that is good.
They have a separate door for online. There's no butler there.
Right.
Actually, no. I guess there's a really good.
No, there's a fucking amazing butler.
Great butler.
But on the other hand, I mean, who gives a fucking shit?
What do you mean?
I mean, great. The content on the PS3 is amazing. What's there, but I don't know if that's going to actually work.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you go and look at Live Arcade, and you go and look at the new community stuff, and you just look at a shelf of 360 games, and it's like, pfft.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I find myself not wanting to troll through that most of the time. Like I've actually,
that's maybe the fault of the actual like just sorting and browsing stuff than the actual development platform. But
the PS3 is so weird. It is really like just becoming more and more the boutique system. Like all that sort of hand-picked stuff on the PSN, that's just like some of the most amazing stuff people have made as downloadable games this generation, you know, like Everyday Shooter, which was one of my favorite games the year of its release, and like just all the
Pixel Junk
stuff, the Q game stuff, right? And like Echo Chrome and just all that, like the Fat Princess game that's coming out looks amazing. Oh yeah, it's like all that stuff.
This is probably a stupid thing to say, and it's probably going to sound entirely like a bullshit console supporting forum thing, but the PSN and the 360 both are consoles that can run in HD, and they both can run on, you know, a TV at 1080 or 720 or whatever. But the content on PSN always, to me, looks like more crisp and like the fidelity. It's just clearer fidelity.
That's because, well, part of it I think is because more games on PSN actually run in 1080p because most of them are doing a lot less actual processing.
I guess that's true.
They can afford to render them at higher resolution. So you'll see like actual screen size that are 1080p, or if someone like my TV is 720p, but I mean people who have 1080p, those games will in fact probably look crisper. Also, there's a lot of stuff on PSN that has really cool like minimalistic art design, like Echo Chrome and the Q games stuff. Like those, a lot of those games have like the line art and solid colors and like really cool crisp.
Yeah, the stuff on the 360 is generally more textured looking. I mean, I remember when I first played Geometry Wars as an example of liney stuff. Yeah, I mean, my brain was like, holy shit, this is like. It's the stupid lines, but it looked nice.
It does look nice.
At the time.
Geometry Wars looks a lot more similar, though, to something you could have seen last generation.
Yeah,
like
I know.
The original Geometry Wars.
I know, but that was the first game that I saw running at a nicely high def.
That's true. Seeing that game native res was pretty gorgeous.
But, I mean, I'm sorry for a thing that sounds like I'm just arbitrarily saying PS3 is better because it looks more crisp, which is the most bullshit.
It's bullshit in terms of just like other regular games that just output at 720p.
I don't own a PS3, but whenever I see even Little Big Planet on a nice screen, even that I probably isn't running at 1080, or if it is, good job. But
I don't know. On mine, it's not, and that's probably where you've seen a lot of it.
The Pixel Junk games just like make your brain explode because it looks like the most crisp, like nicely designed piece of game.
That just kind of goes to Sony. Part of it probably just Sony's sort of selection process and kind of just concept, I guess, behind the PSN. Like they are going for that weird kind of art house, like interesting.
Right, but imagine what content. Pixel Junk's going to be doing 6 years from now when they really crack how to do clean 2D art.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
so that was me accidentally being a PS3 graphics fanboy.
That's fine. I totally agree with
I agree too.
Yeah. Sweet. PS3, Kaz Hirai. A hilarious man. I'm glad he exists to say things like that.
Maybe we should officially start the countdown to quality.
year of the PS3.
We got 6 years or so. 4? 5? How many?
Oh yeah. So wait, what year would that be? Like what year did it come out? 2006? Six. All right.
So we got 6 years.
So basically 2015, year of the PS3.
Shit.
Man, yeah, you're gonna be fucking blown away with like God of War 7 is just gonna like
It's going to be 4D.
You know that thing in Back to the Future 2 when the hologram Jaws comes out of the movie theater display? You think that you've seen the potential of your HD TV? Fucking wait. Like, there's going to be crazy sex QuickTime events just flying into your eyeballs.
Sex QuickTime events. God, if we're still using QuickTime events in 2015, I'm going to be really sad.
Yeah.
But if it's for, like, sex.
Oh, well.
Yeah. You know what also irritates me, by the way? I hate to keep harping on this, but I just want to point out the thing about the 10-year life cycle is I actually have not seen very many people point out the specific thing. Sony, every console Sony's ever made, they say has a 10-year life cycle. They said that about PS1. They said it about PS2. And it's probably true. Like, they did, in fact, sell the PS1 for 10 years.
They sold well, probably.
Yeah, it did sell well. Those are some of the best-selling consoles ever. And, like, PS2...
Well, when did PS2 come out?
2000...
PS2?
Yeah. 2000?
Yes.
Was it 2000?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that'll probably keep that on the market for 10 years.
Yeah, but I mean, the games for it, like...
Exactly,
just,
right.
But
that
I mean,
doesn't
it was
represent,
only the last year or so that the games for the PS2 sort of started traveling away.
Yeah,
I mean, you could still buy Rock Band 2 for the PlayStation 2.
Right, and you can buy Madden and stuff.
Sure.
But I mean, people are not doing a lot of exclusive or... Except for, like, Atlas, are not doing a lot of sort of exclusive or high, like, budget stuff. But anyway... I just think that 10-year thing is a bit of a fallacy. Like, I'd be really surprised if people kept making
awesome.
PS3 games years after the 360
No one
was
is
gone.
using 2009 to tap in to the undiscovered potential
of the
PS2.
Right, yeah.
If they were, I mean, more points to them. Maybe they couldn't get a publisher.
Yeah. Anyway,
maybe they actually just they discovered so much that publishers looked at it and said, "Oh, this is like a first-gen PS3 game," and then they put it on PS3.
Yeah. Man, oh my God! Did you guys see the trailer for that Virtual Console game? The crazy like
BIT.TRIP
Pong.
Oh, that looks great!
Jesus,
that's
that looks
WiiWare, not
awesome.
Virtual Console.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah, whatever. I mean,
what was that game called?
BIT.TRIP BEAT or BIT. Yeah.
Yeah, BIT.TRIP BEAT, something like that.
Yeah, that.
That game looks amazing. Basically, someone sent me the link to that trailer, and it was just like 100%.
I thought it was posted in the Gaff Idle Thumbs thread, wasn't it? I'm just.
Oh yeah, someone actually. Well, I'd already seen it when they did that, but yeah, someone actually in the Gaff Idle Thumbs thread. For one of our recent episodes, actually did post that and was like, I think you'd like this. And I'm like, yep, that is completely 100% a game I would love. I don't know if I can describe it like in an
it's pretty hard to describe.
way.
Yeah, I mean, go watch the video.
It looks like some kind of crazy Pong evolution.
It's a rhythm game. And you move the Pong paddle up and down, and when there are all these dots coming from right to left.
There's dots.
Yeah, and they're on a scale basically, and when
as they hit the paddle,
as they hit it, they make different noises.
The ball is also sort of going around doing its own.
Right?
Thing,
It's like a shooter. In a way that.
So we love shooters that are also music games here at Idle Thumbs.
I love anything that's also music games.
Yeah,
seriously,
it looks really fucking
any
cool.
game that also is played to a beat, like. I don't mean like Guitar Hero. I just mean like, which I like that too, but I just mean, any game where you're just playing a video game and as you're playing it, everything is synced to a beat and music happens. Any developers, just so you know, like anytime you do that, pretty much regardless of the genre, I will think it's the best game ever. So BIT.TRIP BEAT, best game ever.
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
There we go. I've declared it. Game of the year. Cody CX 2009. God, it's 2009. Jesus.
The year of the video game.
The year of the video game. All right, we should take a break.
Yeah.
Oh, should we introduce our guests for this break?
Oh, yeah. Give it up for
Tapezilla,
our sponsors.
Lunchcast or Giant Bomb or what are the other ones? Idle Thumbs. Retronauts is gone. There's one called Idle Thumbs. There's one called Idle Thumbs.
Or maybe it's named Idle Thumbs ironically because the thumbs are incredibly active.
But before I would ever listen to any of those, I'm pretty sure I'd shatter my own kneecaps until I get to 1,000.
That's like the worst thing you could do to yourself. Like, how could you ever do that?
Okay.
So we're back. Thank you, Tapezilla. Look that up if you don't know.
If you or don't.
Or don't look it up.
Yeah.
Fuck
Well,
it.
you could if you want.
Tapezilla.
So I played through Mirror's Edge this weekend. I played through the whole thing. Well, not just this weekend. Over the last several days.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mirror's Edge?
Mirror's Edge, the PC version. I was actually waiting for the PC version.
For the physics effects.
Hey, you need tarps.
Yeah, well,
Did you tear through some fucking tarps?
for like the first day I did.
Sweet.
And then I got a different video card that's not made by NVIDIA, so...
Oh, shit!
Yeah.
Ouch.
It's, well, I mean, ouch. My game was ruined without the tarps. No, they are,
it's a feature.
they are cool effects. I mean, I will say that. Like, when I, for the first day or two when I was using my previous card, which, I mean, the game is sort of low. The requirements are low enough that I was pretty much able to max the game out with both cards anyway, but so I, was playing it with the physics stuff on before, and it is a really good looking game already. I really love the art direction and like the starkness of the city, and on the PC when you can just crank up the texture res, like it just looks like a really awesome sort of environment, and it doesn't have the weird...
Looks like a really awesome environment.
Yeah, that was a terrible description.
That's okay. I know what you mean. It was an awesome environment.
Oh man! By the way, the guy that reminds me of how stupid I sound when I'm speaking. I mean, when you speak, well, I mean, when I speak anyway, I say really stupid shit that would never fly in if I was actually describing a game in print. Yeah, and it just comes. Right. I sound like a retard or like
it's
a baby.
It's a really awesome environment.
Yeah. And as an example of that, just to illustrate how idiotic I can sound, the Retrograde guy sent me an email, and he's the guy who we had that whole thing about Kurt Vonnegut back and forth, and he sent me an email, and he asked me if he could use a quote of mine from Idle Thumbs on his website, and he was all excited we were talking about the game, and he was just wanted to get some press out there because the game I don't think is available for like regular done yet. So I said, oh, okay, sure. So I forgot about that, and I went back to his website a couple weeks later. And the quote was something ridiculous, like, this game is totally cool. It's a clever concept, and I like it. And it's a fun game. Awesome! Like, exclamation point.
Your face was replaced with, like, the Lakitu cloud from Mario.
And it was attributed Chris Remo, Idle Thumbs. It made me feel like a complete goddamn idiot, and I keep meaning to have him change it, and I keep forgetting, so...
To put up some... gratuitous, eloquent. Like,
no, just to. I would just give him a
picture of you with a watercress sandwich in one hand.
Right. I would just tell him to remove a couple words. Like, I don't know. It was really weird. It was like, why would you choose to arrange?
He did the embarrassing interview transcript. This game is it's what can I say? It's good.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? Funnily enough, that reminds me of something. Funnily, I see what I'm talking about. I found myself like an idiot. That reminds me of something else I wanted to... I can't even speak. Another thing that I was just thinking about the other day, and I haven't put a lot of thought into this, and I'm sure it's not something that you'd want to like...
It's going to come out great.
Exactly. It's not something you'd want to apply broadly and start pouring through interviews to tar people one way or the other, but I have noticed, weirdly enough, that when I ask developers if they can name sort of things that have influenced them or sort of other games they're interested in or things that they feel their game is riding on the backs of, be it other games or just films or anything. And again, I don't want to be too sort of broad with this, but I've really started to notice a trend because I do a lot of interviews that the developers who actually have a real answer to that question, their games end up usually being better. Like, I don't know. I mean, like... No, but I'm just saying, I don't know. I've started to notice a lot of developers when I ask that question, they have no answer. It's
I think, even if it's not that they can't cite specific works, just that is in line, whatever, with the sort of themes and the tone that they're looking to carry into a game, and who hasn't lost that,
right,
as part of their sort of pitch or things that they think of as their game by the time that they get to the press. That's probably actually a good sign. If you ask a developer what's your game, what's your game sort of like, and they will throw that stuff out instead of being like, it's like blow up a dude.
We kind of looked at all the stuff that's out there. We kind of just looked at all the...
Right. I mean,
I kind of just have all that stuff around.
I'm sure there's a bazillion good games where the developer wouldn't cite a bunch of hilarious things, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm sure that being able to list some things like that off the tip of your tongue in an interview is probably a good sign for a game that is going to be sort of tonally or thematically sound,
right,
or at least it's going to have a guy aspiring for something, or is going to have a big blowhard douche.
Well, sometimes
like the works of Kubrick.
Sometimes those things are not mutually exclusive. I mean, I've definitely had experiences where a dude has spouted a bunch of hilariously highfalutin sort of influences that their game bore no resemblance to, but the game still ended up actually having a much stronger feel to it, simply because probably the person involved was sort of at least aspiring to things. There. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not actually going to play this game and it's not going to evoke sort of the over of Kubrick or whatever. But I mean, it's
evokes the over of Kubrick.
But Idle Thumbs 15.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's pretty.
That's
sweet.
the title, the parenthetical title. It's rad.
But it was weird. I was thinking about it the other day, and it actually is surprisingly frequent how often, at least for me. I mean, your fucking results may vary, but
I would guess a lot of the times it would just be something so embarrassing that even if they could like come up with something on the spot.
That was my
I was really impressed by this physics tech demo.
Right? Did anyone else see that original Half-Life 2 thing where they dragged the guy around by his leg and that mattress flopped
sort of
over?
was born out of that, and then
that giant pachinko thing with the barrels.
And then open world.
Yeah. No, Aliens is a big one.
Yeah. It's like you take Grand Theft Auto and Aliens and, that YouTube video of the Far Cry barrels.
Those crazy Crysis barrel videos that are like art. Like, did you guys see that shit?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's the Crysis barrels that look like, the movie Twister when they finally are able to monitor what a tornado looks like. And then you see that like on-screen image done in Crysis with exploding barrels.
Then like the Trackmania equivalent of that too.
Right.
That was some amazing shit.
Oh, that video of the 400 million cars?
Yeah, making wave patterns. That was amazing.
Crazy.
So anyway, all this brings us back to Mirror's Edge.
Oh yeah, Mirror's Edge, a game that has nothing to do with that at all. Because I didn't do an interview of that game that I asked.
You
that
interviewed
question.
the game?
I did an interview with the producer of that game, but I don't think I asked that question, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, I like the game. Well, I sort of liked the game. I liked okay. This is the thing. I liked a game. The problem was that game was inside a much shittier game. Like, DICE made a completely amazing video game called Mirror's Edge, and then they wrapped it in a terrible, awful, shitty video game called Mirror's Edge. And that's the one that they put in the box. And it was pretty unfortunate because
I remember you describing on the twitter.com that if there was a graph of your enjoyment of Mirror's Edge,
like
it would be like a comb.
That was pretty good.
Was that clear? Did you guys understand what I meant?
Yeah, no, totally
it's riding high, and then something happens that you just fall off a cliff and want to die. Basically, but I mean, your enjoyment falls off a cliff, not you.
Is this a combat thing? I think.
Yeah, basically.
You don't like shooting a dude? You don't like the gunplay?
Not on this fucking game, I didn't. I happen to disagree with Cliffy B on this particular note. But basically, okay, well, just as a bit of grounding, like background, I guess, I will put myself through hilarious video game abuse if it allows me to play a game that has awesome, fluid, really tactile platforming. Like, I will put up with awful shit in order to experience that because I love it so much. Like Prince of Persia, I stuck with longer than I wanted to. Like Assassin's Creed, I've stuck with longer than I was actually enjoying it. Mirror's Edge, I completed the goddamn game because I enjoyed the platforming in that game more than in any of those other games. But I felt I was just suffering through the other aspects of it. It just like I fucking love games where you can just like Crackdown. I loved it because you could just literally you had to do boss battles once in a while, but other than that, you could basically just run around the city and collect orbs and jump and climb, and it was just amazing.
Yeah.
Mirror's Edge is probably my absolute favorite expression of that to date in terms of the just mechanics themselves. I love how that game feels. I absolutely love it. I think it works so well in first person. I love wall running, jumping, fucking doing the crazy 180 jumps off of walls. All of it. I even didn't mind the parts that a lot of people took issue with, where you can't really figure out where to go, and it kind of breaks the stride of the fluidity, which is a weak point for sure. But even that, I still enjoyed figuring it out and then just going for it.
It's better
I
than
loved
the
it so much.
I would think, where they're just pointing you in a line.
Right, exactly. Where it's just never ending, just constantly. Yeah. But I despised, like, with incredible passion, every time there were like 8 fucking army guys, like shock troops, facing me down with machine guns in between me and point A and point B. And frequently it was literally an absolute straight line. Like, you get out of an elevator, your objective is literally just the other side of the room. It's just the end of the room. And there's just like 4 fucking dudes in the way, and there's catwalks and shit. It is and I put this on Twitter, and people, I got a bunch of replies from people who are like, well, I don't really understand. I mean, you don't have to do the combat if you don't want. Like, why are you putting yourself in those situations? Just don't do it. I don't know. Maybe you guys are like magical men or something. Like, this is fucking, like, there were so many situations in that game when I absolutely could not no matter how many routes I tried, no matter how many attempts I made, I just could not get away from the fucking gun guys. Like, there are times when you have to climb up a ladder, like a tall ladder, and there's a dude with a heavy machine gun stationed like 15 feet away. If you don't take that guy out, I don't understand how you're getting up that ladder, because he'll just shoot you as you're climbing it. There were a lot of moments like that, and it was terrible. Terrible. I mean, I would have retroactively made this game a top game of 2008 for me. Well, I guess the PC version came out this year, but the other versions came out last year. I would have gone back and like retroactively made this like my number 2 or 3 game possibly if it just didn't have all that horrible bullshit in it. As it is, I just resent it because it gave me stuff that was so incredibly great and made me just play through some of the least enjoyable experiences I've had in the last year of gaming. So,
well, maybe Mirror's Edge 2 is going to.
Yeah, I can't wait for Mirror's Edge 2.
Well, it's isn't it gonna? What is it?
Oh yeah, it's gonna marry strong business with a strong IP.
Yeah, so it's gonna be Mirror's Edge 2 : Portal.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I really can't wait for? I can't wait for that crazy DLC that's coming out. Like,
what is the Mirror's Edge DLC?
It's basically like the Super Mario Sunshine bonus.
Oh,
level.
Nice.
Yeah, it's exactly what we always talk about, like what we want all the time in a game. Well, we've talked. You and I have talked about that a lot. Like, yeah.
I love that shit. That was my favorite part of Sunshine.
Yeah, it was the only part I liked about Sunshine, really.
Oh, that's a little harsh, but fair enough.
Well, I don't mean I hated the other parts, but they weren't memorable.
Yeah, every time you got into one of those levels in Sunshine.
Yeah, it's like I just want a whole game of this.
And it was so nice when Galaxy basically was that.
Right, Galaxy was like an extended...
So hopefully the Mirror's Edge DLC has a cappella versions of the Mirror's Edge soundtrack playing in the background.
Right. I mean, it's really cool. It really is totally abstract. It's just cool. It's just literally just 3D geometry in space.
That's good. That sounds
what was hilarious when they announced that is there were like some people reacted to that and they said something like, "Man, why don't they just charge like $30 for a load of shit?" Because like they thought that they're just putting out like blocks. You know, like they took that to mean that like they were just like throwing out like random geometry with no textures because they could.
It's like a noise filter in Photoshop, but with polygons.
Yeah.
Why would someone?
Some people might not know how a game works.
Yeah,
a lot of Mirror's Edge probably looked like that at a certain point, and then they just
before it was
pushed that into a stylized thing and put it out. Yeah, that's cool. That sounds like that plus the time trial stuff in the main game are the game that you want.
The time trial stuff is cool, but the thing is, I like in the main game that there is a threat. You know what I mean? I don't mind that there are guys shooting at you. I don't mind if there are guys on the sidelines encouraging you to go fast. That I think was an essential part of the game, and that the time trials don't have.
But
that.
It's when those guys become blockers.
Exactly. When they're actually put as obstacles. That just isn't fun. I also refuse to believe that this character who's supposed to be frail and all about going fast and avoiding her enemies is actually capable of taking out like 8 fucking special ops guys, which I did a number of times in the game. Like, why is my character able to do that? That's idiotic.
That's kind of too bad. I mean, this talk has made me want to play Mirror's Edge because, like you, I go apeshit over good 3D platforming.
Yeah, I mean,
but yeah, when all those original videos of Mirror's Edge came out, I had always hoped that those guys would be there. Like, if you do really want to fucking take that guy down, you can. Right. But I had a sort of hope that the developers would have provided a sort of outwit. Alternate route for basically any situation like that.
There's a whole cadre of people who keep telling me that that's possible, but I sure as fuck don't know how.
Right. Well, I mean, there are those people, but then at least like I know you mentioned this in last episode's thread over on NeoGAF, and a couple people came by and said that, and then other people said, absolutely not. Like if this is your first time playing through the game, there's no way you're going to get that achievement. Like they're saying like DICE regrets putting that in even.
Oh right, yeah.
Because
I regret they made the game this way.
Right, but I mean, just the fact that I mean, it's clearly too late to fix that in that game, but
that actually really irritated me.
I wonder if that's true that DICE put that achievement in there and then was like, "Fuck, we've probably misled people slightly about what they can do."
That really irritates me because that means, and I understand DICE has obviously a strong history of shooters. They're Battlefield, that's what they do, but it really does kind of irritate me that they make this just amazing gameplay mechanic, and then they clearly knew. They clearly were aware they made a game where shooting is still an expected action.
Yeah,
like they still expect most people to go through and shoot people in a lot of situations. That just is really disappointing to me that they didn't take the opportunity to just make a game where that wasn't.
I mean, who knows?
Crucial element.
Maybe they weren't allowed to do that.
That wouldn't be surprising.
I mean,
I wouldn't be surprised if strong business will push it in further in the other direction.
Really?
Later.
But there were so many reviews and just people complaining about that aspect. Like, you'd think EA would take notice of that.
We'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, but
you know what that game reminded me of? Oh, go ahead, Jake.
No, I'm done.
No, please.
I quit the podcast.
Oh. I was just gonna say
anyway.
Oh,
God damn it.
Go ahead, Nick.
15.
Yeah, it just Mirror's Edge sort of reminds me of the beginning of Half-Life 2. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Just in the way the city feels.
Yeah,
and just.
I wonder if that was an influence. Maybe a developer would bring up.
I actually, you know what's funny? Actually, I did. I now that you actually mentioned that, I did mention Half-Life, and the guy did point to that as like a touchstone visually and in certain other ways.
Well, just the way that there are guys in in that opening sequence who are sort of there, but you can pretty much run past them.
Right. Also, the storyline is very similar to Half-Life. Not the storyline, but the premise is sort of similar in that sort of like stark futuristic city where
underground,
where like the Vortigaunts have sided with the humans.
Well, yeah, except that there's no aliens in this, and also the story is completely incomprehensible. Like I'm sure there are plenty of gamers who could rattle off the plot, but at a certain point, I honestly also the cutscenes are so hilariously terrible looking.
Yeah,
like they really do look like such Mickey Mouse like bullshit. That I shouldn't say Mickey Mouse because that implies like a sort of Walt Disney style animation, but just shit like sort of bad Newgrounds style animation.
Are you ripping on the behemoth now?
Yeah, no, just like terrible Flash shit. And I think they probably were made in Flash. Like I suspect they used Flash to make these cutscenes, and the story was just such garbled, like some kind of mayor and like maybe a mayoral candidate and like a dude is assassinated and someone's overseeing you and maybe someone backstabs you. I don't know. And like, I don't, at a certain point, like the combination of the
would have been
unnecessarily.
It's unnecessary. Why didn't they just leave all of that out?
Right.
Just let you sort of fill it in. Like keep the story as minimalist as the actual gameplay.
I was talking to this about a coworker today and there's a really interesting thing that most people writing stories for games don't seem to realize, which is that most of the great stories in literature and film and what have you, the plots are not actually like amazingly convoluted.
No, yeah.
They tend to be fairly simple stories that are told because there's a really strong thread, like the character goes through some interesting progression or an interesting thing is revealed that sort of sheds light. It's not what most games seem to focus on, which is just plot all the fucking time. Every cutscene, there's 8,000.
Well, I assume that if, as a game writer, you're sitting down at a page and some guys like hired you to write a game script, and if you turn out like 2 pages and hand it to them, like, well, here's what I came up with, they're probably going to be like, what the fuck? We just paid you.
I would say that a lot of the broad plot beats are probably determined by the developers, and then hand it off to the writer. Where it's like, and then when they get to this part, this guy's going to backstab you, and then over here, he didn't after all because he was being influenced by this guy.
That happens in this game, I think, kind of.
But what was I going to say? Oh, just the other thing about games is, I mean, okay, a book.
Jake is wearing hilarious, like, huge sheriff right now, and he looked really funny, like, schooling us on the way games.
Let me tell you about books. Anyway, so
he's putting them back on. I wish you guys could see this.
Just
little big play.
Jake looks really good in these glasses because he kind of looks like a cop, like when he's wearing them. I don't know. I mean, do you agree?
He does.
Like,
anyway,
he really does. He looks like a chip.
We gotta stop talking about that. But what was I gonna say? Oh, just all the crazy plot twists and stuff.
Now Jake knows we're looking at him like he's a cop.
This is terrible.
All right, keep going. Put him back on.
That's fine. I'll put him back on in a second. I'm done talking.
Okay.
Pretend I snapped them off angrily.
Okay. Give me a badge. You're a loose cannon.
I am. Right. Games are kind of long, and the amount of sort of story that I think is expected in an 80-hour game is 80 hours of story. And
no one makes 80-hour games anymore.
Okay, whatever. 20 hours, 10 hours.
Right.
That's down to like HBO miniseries or like serialized TV show, and that is the style of plotting that those shows have. Like Lost.
That's true.
Or I mean, even something like The Wire. Like every episode, some crazy shit happens that changes your perception of either what the next episode is going to be or what happened last time. And
well, the problem is in a game you're in real time. You know what I mean? That's
24.
Yeah, right. Well, that would actually be interesting.
But I'm not saying that's good. But I think that is also probably where people are coming from in writing. Is like,
I see what you mean.
Games don't necessarily have level divisions anymore, but I mean internally they still sort of do structurally. Each zone has its own sort of thing, and then it's in a linear game. It's divided out into beats and into sort of acts or chapters, and then I'm sure that's broken down by what narrative event is going to happen in this chapter, and that's probably not the best way to go unless maybe you're writing serialized narrative adventure game. Maybe you could handle that,
right?
But that's in a game like Mirror's Edge. I feel like what you'd want is something more. I guess this is a stupid thing to say because it's fucking Mirror's Edge and Portal, but you'd want something more like Portal where there is just sort of a slow build up over time.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
absolutely.
I don't think it.
I mean, Portal.
I don't think anyone's playing Mirror's
well.
Edge for the crazy shocker that happens after the third encounter.
No one cares. The funny thing about Portal is that Portal is much more explicitly than most of these games a very level-based game,
right?
And yet it doesn't tell the story in a level-based way. It's one continuous, just sort of unfolding.
The first chapter is almost the first half of the game.
Right? Exactly. Yeah, it's sort of a 2-act kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Jake's putting the glasses back on. This is great.
Don't tell people what is happening.
But I like to.
Okay.
What was I going to say? No, I don't remember.
Portal.
Well, I forget.
Yeah, it's a go.
Ouch.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is just. It was just something that was on my mind. Yeah, I don't know how to wrap this up because I had a very specific thing to say.
Well, I don't know whether to play the game now or not.
That's what's tough.
Is that a recommendation?
It's hard. It's so hard because the times I was having fun were so great. I
didn't mean to
67.5 out of 100 stars.
Right.
I didn't mean to put it. Yeah.
But it is tough. It's like a really tough thing to say just on a personal level. Do I recommend this or not?
Yeah.
I don't fucking know. I don't know. Depends how much patience. I know that some people honestly were not nearly as bothered by that stuff as I was, and I expect to get some because every time I don't like a game, people write me emails about it. But
if your love for cool immersive platforming is high and you think you can tolerate some gunplay that might annoy you, give Mirror's Edge a try.
There you go.
That's the Idle Thumb's verdict.
If that doesn't sound like you, bitch on a forum about how we recommend shitty games without playing them.
It could blow you away. IGN.com.
.idlethumbs.net.
Yeah. God, I really wish I could remember what I was going to say. Oh well.
Hopefully you'll remember it later and just burst into the middle and sort of like how it'll be like a seg.
Of course. I'm still playing Assassin's Creed on PC as well. And I don't know why, because it really has not changed at all. It's the exact same shit again and again and again.
Yeah,
it is. Really, I don't know.
Well, that's good.
I kind of was just like, I'm probably pretty close to the end, because the characters keep saying, like, oh yeah, this is like, we're almost the last guy. I'm like, I'll just finish it.
That'd be awesome.
Almost to the last dude. Yeah, you're almost to the last dude.
This is almost the last guy. That's like Zelda style. Someone told me once that this is almost the last guy. Press A to swing your sword.
Well, it is in the past, so I mean,
that's true. They should know.
Yeah.
So good, Assassin's Creed. Good, great.
Yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird game. It's like, it's strange to me that they would make this game, make it so repetitive, and then put so many missions in it where you just have to keep. It's like, oh, now you go back to your master. Now he tells you to kill more dudes. Now you go back. Now you've got to.
It's just feeling a little thin. Can you just
pickpocket a guy and then
can you just put all the missions in again, but where you start at the end of the previous one and go the other way? That was only you get halfway through the game and you have to run through a lot of stuff backwards.
That also hilariously happens in Halo.
Yeah.
I guess just a Bungie thing.
Yeah.
Well, and Assassin's Creed.
So
that doesn't happen in
Speaking of Bungie, I heard you were playing Crysis Warhead.
What?
Wow.
That was an interesting seg.
Yeah, that was a pretty unique seg. Yeah, no, I played Crysis Warhead. I wasn't planning to. The original Crysis sort of left me
all over it in a preview.
Yeah, I did. Well, and I still stand by my poop preview.
Poop?
Yeah, I still stand by that because I didn't like that particular section of the game at all. I don't know. I would say my enjoyment of Crysis Warhead is also like a comb. It really, really like I first of all I enjoy.
This is just going to be the Idle Thumbs descriptor.
Yeah, it's
like a comb.
It's like a comb.
Like a comb.
So I was combing it.
Yeah,
combing it. So I was combing it up with Crysis Warhead the other day.
Oh, I know what you mean. You mean that your enjoyment sort of varied between extreme highs and lows at a regular rate.
Sort of sinusoidal.
Anyway.
If you will.
Sinusoidal. Anyway, Crysis.
You shoot stuff, it blows up. It's a lot more fun than Crysis to me. Just like it's more over the top. It's sort of what I enjoyed about the original Crysis, but with more explosions, which is fine. But the thing that really pisses me off about it, and I mean, all right, it's the fucking aliens, and I know we talked about this, and I don't know. When I was talking to the developers about this game, they were saying, all right, the aliens are back, yeah, but this time they have the AI. Their AI routines are more akin to the humans, so they're going to be more enjoyable to. I didn't find that at all. I mean, they're the same things. They float around, and you use the same.
Well, now they're outside.
Now they're outside, and they twitch like a little flash game that you play in an ad, and you click on them with the scope, and then they
prize
die.
money paid in banana bucks.
Yeah, like it's the rubber ducky game.
Buddy.
And I just
Ape Extreme.
it's like to me that it's like Mirror's Edge. Like, you know, I enjoy Crysis. I like killing guys and taking different routes. That's all fine. But then they throw the fucking aliens in there, and I'm done. Like, I just don't want to fight them at all. So every time that they
believe in peaceful relations with the aliens.
Yeah,
I just don't want to fight them at all.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Did you guys see that? I saw this like at a friend's house late at night when I was staying over at night. It was the first time I've seen.
It was an alien.
It was the first time I've seen Larry King in like years and years.
Oh god!
And he was doing an alien show, and Bill Nye was on it. And like Bill Nye was like the voice of sanity amongst all these like army colonels and shit who were like, yeah, there were aliens above the sky, and they fucking. They certainly weren't anything that I can explain. Bill Nye was just like,
licensed.
What are you like? It was really amazing to see Bill Nye, the science guy, just sort of like incredulous at these army dudes.
That should be a Bill Nye
just
game.
like, there are aliens, and he's like, I mean, maybe, but probably not. Probably not like in a saucer above your head.
Yeah, this sounds like it's going to become like a licensed NES platformer of like Bill Nye sneaking into Area 51 to defeat a bunch of generals, to disprove the existence of aliens using science, and then like live up as your sort of Metal Gear style advisor and sort of mediate.
They're coming for you, Nye.
Nye. Science guy. Science rules. Yeah, what?
So that's like a Crysis.
Sounds kind of like Crysis Warhead. Yeah. No, the aliens. I thought the aliens actually were better than they were in Crysis, but they still are not as enjoyable to me as killing North Koreans.
Actually, you know what happened to that game? Yeah.
Jesus Christ. I like that you tried to slip that one in there.
That's good.
You didn't slip it in as well as you thought.
But no, you know what happened to me? I got to the last level, and
was there a boss?
It was full of goddamn aliens. All right, fine. I'll kill the last alien. Like
all right.
I always get to leave the last levels, and I don't play it. So I was like, I'll just kill the alien this time. So I alien, and and I get to the end, and I kill the last alien, and the alien falls, and he kills me in his death throes. As he was dying, he fell on my head and killed me, and I was like, "What the fuck is this shit?" Like, and there was no like quick save point before the whole last section, so I had to
emergent gameplay.
I had to go through and kill the guy again. I kill him again, and the same fucking thing happened. The alien fell on me and fucking killed me in the last second of the game. And they timed the quick save for the final victory, like just after I died both times.
So do you have a quick save you can load that is just your body sort of rolling ragdoll on the ground?
I want a quick save where as you load, it's like coming, you look up and you're like, what the fuck?
They're like, Psycho, you did it! I just fucking died.
Well, I'm like, what? It's actually it's a sort of subversive game. It's a sort of bittersweet ending. You made the ultimate sacrifice.
I thought that's what it was at first. I was like, oh wow, he dies
like
in the end.
Bruce Willis in Armageddon or something.
And then I was like, oh
he dies.
Quick
Spoiler!
fire to respawn. Oh,
space dementia.
Shit.
That's fucking awesome.
It happened twice. I had to beat that game 3 times.
That sucks.
So wow,
I don't think I had that experience.
No, I wouldn't imagine.
I'm glad that the boss crushed you twice.
Although I do remember, actually, you know what's funny? Actually, and now you've filled in my hypothetical situation that I had when I played that game. I remember beating the last boss, and as it was coming down, I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. This guy's going to fucking fall on me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This is nuts. This is cool. Like, look how sweet this is. And then I, got out of the way, and he fell to the ground, and I'm like, wow, that was intense.
Yeah, right. It's like one of those moments you think, like, maybe it could happen. It's not going to happen.
Right, exactly.
It's a game.
But
they know.
But they put in a case there that it's not like it's going to adjust the trajectory.
They just invulnerability.
It slides you out of the way.
Right.
Or it crushes you twice.
Or I fucking die twice and have to replay the level.
It's funny to know that my fear was real.
Yeah, yeah, right.
You know.
It's going to make that a lot more intense.
Fear is real.
Yeah. IGN.com.
Yeah.
I like that game. It
was pretty good. I would recommend playing it, even if you didn't thoroughly enjoy
even if you hate
price.
aliens. And hate killing alien.
It didn't have as big of an impact on me as Crysis did, because in Crysis I got kind of in a certain zone when I was playing the really large outdoor levels where I just sort of became the predator and sort of
I would say that
would become the predator.
Yeah, I would take out like an entire base without them ever being able to get a beat on me, and it was just I would take way longer on those levels than I actually needed to the point where I would just be in the grass for probably like a combined amount, in a given level for probably an hour overall, just sort of shuffling from bush to bush, taking out guys, I liked like stuff like that in games, and it was just a really amazing, kind of going through the underbrush and like sniping off a dude. And it was just like a
the thing about that is just like, and I mean, I really like that section of the game as well. But I will say that the fact that they've given you these 5 cheat codes basically in the suit powers, just always to me like
you're the fucking internet.
No.
Like
Listen,
a tactile.
hear me out.
Shadow
Hear me
of the
out,
Colossus
guys.
is just a series
Hear
of
me out.
boss battles.
Hear me out.
Where's the game?
Yeah, that's my favorite with every complaint about anything. Where's the video game, guys?
This is just a bunch of cheat codes.
It's a tech demo.
Little Big Planet, where's the game? All I see is a series of challenges preventing the player to get from point A to point B while other players complete actions simultaneously. Where's the game?
It's amazing you weren't reading from something.
I don't know. I see people say that with Little Big Planet all the time. It's like the game is fucking the thing you're doing with your controller.
Mm-hmm.
Shut up. Anyway, so
that was like a preemptive strike on my opinion.
I'm sorry. Jake,
Anyway, shithead, what do you think about this game? Fucking worthless piece of crap. Bullshit, shit-eating shit.
Jake saying this with the cop glasses on.
Yeah, I
makes it
know.
so
It's
much
fucking
funnier.
intimidating.
Anyway, what did
Feels
you...
a little thin.
So fun.
Want to give me some more, shitbird?
I think you know.
Yeah.
So what did you think of Crysis Warhead?
And it's cheat
I mean, of
codes.
Crysis' cheat codes. I mean, video games. Cooking Mama.
Heard that game, animals.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, RTS players were pissed when Ensemble Studios released Cooking Mama.
What? Ensemble? What are you even talking about anymore? Is this a tie back to the Bungie connection? Like,
No, never mind. It was an attempt at calling back RTS games getting increasingly casual, even from mainstream developers, but I bombed that one pretty hard. The glasses did not save me. Anyway, Crysis Warhead or Reader Mail? You've come to a...
I think we should just go to Reader Mail.
all right.
Yeah.
Sorry for that.
No.
And for any
But now
readers.
everyone's going to think I'm an idiot. Maybe I have to keep going.
Just say it.
All right. I get to a point when
You have died.
It's so easy to just throw the cloak on and walk up to a guy and shoot him in the head without him like seeing that you're there.
Yeah.
That sometimes it just, to me, like the fact that I can do that when the more fun thing to do is crawl in the grass and shoot him from a distance or get behind him and like flank him and
Right.
stuff. Sometimes it's a lot, the straightforward path is a little too straightforward.
Yeah.
And so,
Although I will say, if you turn the difficulty up, that's hard to do because then you're exposed.
Well, that
and
enables
most likely
NPC
other dudes are
smell.
gonna see you.
yeah, and then I throw on the run thing, and but yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
But see, even saying that though, I do like the moments when you have the cloak on and you get halfway into a bunch of guys, and then the energy dies, and you're just surrounded.
Sorry,
by
this is
50
another game
beings.
that, like Half-Life 2, would benefit from being able to hear your guy give his inner monologue of like, sweet and fucking cold. oh shit, run, go. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm running fucking fast. This is
Like,
awesome.
That moment is great. I love that.
Oh my god, I'm on a fucking roof. I can punch through this roof. Jesus.
Check this out. Hey, guy, look. Hey, I see you down there. Like, what?
We yeah, I think pretty much actually any game would benefit from
The guy talking. Oh,
Yeah.
man, hey, what's up?
I mean, the guy in Crysis does talk, right? I mean, he
does. He just sounds like a
Well, whatever.
typical soldier
That's-
dude.
he's-
but-
added on.
He's not excited
Whoa,
every
I'm on
time.
this roof. Well, hey, what's up, dude? Down there? Awesome. What are you doing? Like typing on a computer? Sweet. See ya.
Owned.
Piss owned.
Jeez.
Anyway, reader mail.
yeah.
God damn.
Get ready.
This is either a good podcast or a horrible podcast.
It's like a
It's in the eye
comb.
of the listener.
Yeah, this podcast is like a comb.
It's like
All right,
Comcast.
here we go. Ryan Wanko of IndustryBroadcast.com would like to know, I think it'd be great to hear he says, what the editor-at-large at the most respected publication in the games industry does every day.
Oh.
well,
Or a community coordinator over at
I
Telltale.
usually get out of bed at like
Right. Or a guy who works at home for Shack News.
Well, he says or editor at Shack News. So,
Oh, you're an editor. That's true.
Yeah, I am.
Who isn't these days?
Yeah.
all right, Jake, what do you do every day?
No, you're first.
All right, fine.
You're fucking editor at large at a prestigious Prestigio.
Prestigio.
At the
Institute
Prestigio
of
in San
Prestigio.
Francisco. Okay, well, part of what I do every day is I write news and conduct interviews and stuff for Gamasutra, although more of what I'm doing these days is for one of our other divisions called Game Developer Research, which basically I conduct like surveys with developers and try to figure out like what trends in the industries are becoming apparent. So I just released the other day our iPhone developer research report, which tries to extrapolate trends on like what is coming up in iPhone gaming. So like what genres are becoming bigger and sort of how budgets are tracking and like team sizes and stuff like that. Just like try to give, so developers basically who are interested in making iPhone games can buy a report and try to have a good idea of like what other people are doing and how much money they're spending and stuff like that. So that's, and next I'm doing one on outsourcing. So that's sort of what I do every day now. Kind of. That's kind of boring.
That's
Anyway.
like journalism, except that it sounds like you're just data collecting.
Well, I have to actually
Take that, you piece of shit.
except I actually have to like write an actual, like, I mean, the survey is part of it, but I actually have to write like a 40-page report about it. Anyway, so yeah, that's part of what I do. But my favorite thing is probably still just doing interviews, which I love doing a lot. So I do that sometimes too. You can read them at comicsfuture.com. All right, Jake, what do you do?
I work at Telltale Games. I think I'm still technically the community coordinator, but my day-to-day job at Telltale Games mostly actually consists of just doing various graphic design tasks, both for sort of marketing stuff and on the games. So if you played any Telltale games starting with Sam & Max Season 1, I probably did like all of the user interface, all the menu systems. I design those and do the art and do a lot of the animation for them. And I do the opening title sequence stuff in the games. And yeah, I mean, day to day, I probably work on about 200 million different projects for about 5 minutes, which is both fun and extreme. But like, trying to think of what I worked on today.
Yeah, this guy probably wants very specific things. Like, I walk into my office and I'm like, "Hey,
Okay,
dudes." And,
No, that's not what happened. I mean, like today, in specifically, I put in some time doing a polish pass on the save load screen for Telltale's upcoming Wallace and Gromit
Fascinating.
game. It's a sort of, well, yeah, I've got a really odd job actually, because I'm the guy in the company who does all the sort of stuff that everyone outside of the games industry assumes makes itself or just sort of happens by magic. Like,
Right.
I'm responsible often for like the setup wizard stuff, for the sort of first play experience in the menus and sort of how the game guides you into the first few minutes, like including all the way up through the opening titles. I work on all the infrastructure for how the save load system works. I also designed like the software activation system that Telltale uses, like the interface for that.
Sweet.
And like the user profile stuff and game downloading stuff on our website. So it's all the stuff that has nothing to actually do with games, but at the same time using all the same tools that everyone uses to make the games. And it is part of the game. So, you know, I make games.
Sweet.
Also, I do some game design and puzzle design stuff, but I'm like the most junior false guy of that.
Most junior false guy of that.
So that's probably the best part of my job.
Cool. That was a thorough answer.
Yeah, so that's a million things. Nick?
you know,
I heard EA is coming to your house.
post the thing.
He posts a thing. Sweet.
He posts a thing.
Yeah. No, I write at Shag News. I do, I basically find video game news and post about it, and it's really it's pretty tedious. And then and like Chris, occasionally I get to do interviews and previews of things, and that's
you
fun.
fly around the country with your jet set lifestyle.
Yeah. It's like, for 3 months it's really exciting, and then like for 2 months it's not. Like today and then I also do like occasional features when it's not, when I have time to do them. So today I researched exploding cow mods in Fallout 3.
Sweet.
Nice.
Rad.
So that's what we all did today, or in general.
Yeah.
There's one where you can drink from a toilet too. That one's pretty funny.
15.
Nice. Video games. Sweet. All right. Well, next, let's see what else we have here. This is good. This is a developer from Stardock, Ross Dexter, who wanted to write in about commenting on people confusing Starduck and Starforce. Jake hypothesized that might happen. He says that's not that common. He's seen it happen, usually in the comments for a news item on a gaming website, i.e., aren't they the guys with the really awful DRM? Or fuck Stardock, their copy protection wrecks my games. He does, however, bring up the amazing story of a Stardock administrator, on the Stardock forums. I forgot about this until now. Posting a link to a torrent of Stardock's Galactic Civilizations 2, saying, "Look how
Starforce formed and then posted to a torrent of Stardock." All right, because look what you can do when there's no DRM. You can just download these guys' games.
Pirate this shit. It's fucking easy without Starforce. So that was amazing.
sad.
He also says, far more common are misspellings of our name, the best of which was G4, listing our company as Starcock.
I thought he was going to say Stardork, which would also be amazing.
He doesn't have that one on there.
Well, that's okay.
Starcock and a PAX preview of Demigod. Also, when telling people who are often unfamiliar with the games industry where I work, the name doesn't register and they usually remember it as Starduck or Stardog and occasionally Starport. Anyway, love the podcast. It always makes my Wednesdays more fun. Ross Dexter, game developer, Starcock. Sweet.
Stardog. That's my game studio.
And then I don't know if we have time for this, and I keep putting this off, and I'm really frustrated that I do because I really want to get to it. But there were a bunch of guys who wrote in some really good, well reasoned rebuttals to my complaints about Prince of Persia and then also Assassin's Creed this week.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right.
I
don't know if we're gonna have time for all of them, but I'll start with this Assassin's Creed one from Christian. He says, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with your assessment of Assassin's Creed. It's a game that could have been more than it is, and it's definitely held back by unskippable cutscenes and odd bits of linearity, but it succeeds brilliant at its core mechanics and setting. The ancient cities are a joy to explore. Running over climbing stuff as you please is a unique and exhilarating experience. You could debate issues of personal space, but I think the crowd issue works well, and even the oft-criticized combat has a nice rhythm and feel to it. He says everyone complains about repetitive dialogue, but it never bothered him. He turned actually, this is interesting because I didn't do this. He said he turned the entire HUD off because the GPS sucks all the fun out of it. The whole point of the game is to pay attention to your surroundings, watch for the guard's body language, and scale the rooftops looking for anything that might be of interest. That's really interesting. That's kind of like the people who turned off the music in Far Cry 2, which is also a really good suggestion. And I completely recommend doing now, having tried it. That's interesting. I didn't do that. I still think the game's a little weird how your dude is just capable of deciding this one man out of an entire city is the one who's worth eavesdropping on. Like it seems really arbitrary to me. But that's just how it is, I guess. He describes the way he would play the games, which is to sneak in, scale the nearest tower, look for the recognizable dome of the Assassin's Bureau, get his brief, head downtown without ever looking at the map. Just walk and climb around. You'd always run into investigations without even looking. I was having an excellent time just casually exploring these gorgeous cities and dealing with whatever I came across. Now, if I'd been following map and GPS, he writes, and working through quest after quest like it was some kind of motherfucking checklist, I think I'd have the same experience that the internet and you were having. He says he played this game basically like he played Stalker the same way, just kind of going at his own pace and taking stuff in. You know, it's funny because I don't disagree with anything he said. Yeah. But I feel like, and Christian, it's a really good, like, I can totally see how that attitude to this game would be a lot different than kind of the way I experienced it. And I think that's like a very valid opinion, but I just can't help but feel that the game was essentially just like a big repeating loop that just happens again and again. Like every time you spy on the guy, it's going to be the exact same thing. Like every time you pickpocket the guy, it's the exact same thing every time. And every game is like that, but there was no opportunity for that to be different in this, really. Like the only thing that can change is maybe this time you get spotted by a guard. It's not like, for example, in Far Cry 2, which is a game I compared this to, where that firefight really could just completely end up with weird, completely unexpected, strange shit happening. And these are both made by Ubisoft Montreal. I just feel like this game, I agree the environments were gorgeous. I agree like the scale of the cities and the scope was incredible. Like getting up on those tall buildings and just looking like how accurately they reproduced the scale of most likely how big cities were at that time. It's all really cool. But I just like, you just keep doing the same fucking investigations again and again.
Even to me, the combat, he says the combat, to me, that was repetitive to me, and it really wasn't that enjoyable to me. I didn't find that the combat system, if that had been interesting enough to where, just wandering around and, having random combat encounters, but people were talking about all the crazy things you can do to guards and stuff. I didn't really ever discover a whole lot of that.
Well, see, again, though, like he says, I agree with his sort of granular assessment, which is that I agree there's a nice rhythm to the combat. I love the feeling of like breaking a guy's thing and then turning around and stabbing him. The problem is you get in these situations where either you, like, especially leading up to or immediately following an assassination, you will basically get spotted time no matter what, like even if you're not really doing anything that wrong. And you end up either having to fight guys a lot or constantly run away from guys and hide, or fight, like just train a bunch of dudes to where you're going and then kill all of them at once, which takes forever and is really boring. It's just like, I feel like the whole balance of this game, like this sort of larger rhythm, not just the moment-to-moment rhythm, but the larger rhythm of the game is just completely off. And it made the game like very much of a slog for me.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at something like Hitman and just the way that handles combat, and to me, that's just so much
well,
more
also,
focused.
you know what's hilarious? This game's called Assassin's Creed. And, you know, I'm perfectly willing to accept that I might suck balls at assassinating guys. I was never able to pull off like a boss assassination without doing a huge battle.
Yeah.
There's never any opportunity to actually assassinate them. The only people you can assassinate are meaninless guards.
Part of the game.
Yeah, really. Me too. They're weakest by far.
You kill the guy, and then there's a long monologue, and that whole thing where he's like, I mean, that's just ridiculous.
And they say trite things. It's like a dude. It's like a dude who enslaves dudes.
Yeah.
And he's like, but didn't you consider that I'm doing this for their own good? And your guy's like racked with pangs of doubt, and you're like, what is this fucking like second grade philosophy? Jesus.
Yeah.
Like being deep. You probably do.
You think that's air you're breathing now? Like, sorry.
No, it seemed so like trite to me. But anyway, I don't know. I feel like.
Sorry, I was just quoting the video from the Matrix YouTube video where farts are added in, not the real film.
Right, yeah.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Nice save there, Jake.
That's true.
Yeah.
My first association to that line of dialogue, not the actual film.
I feel like they have the opposite problem with Mirror's Edge, where like they had sort of a bunch of individual ingredients of a good game, and then they made a terrible game out of it. Whereas Mirror's Edge was like they made a good game and then wrapped it inside a bad game.
Yeah.
So this was like they had like a lot of cool little things that you could make a good game with, but they didn't.
Cool.
Yeah.
Read the next one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's a whole bunch of them about Prince of Persia. I don't know if I really don't know if I want to do that because I don't want to have this podcast be super long every week.
Next time, we might decide we don't have time for Prince of Persia.
Yeah, right.
Well, I don't think
just don't want to get into it.
I don't think there's going to be I don't think we talked about a lot of stuff this week that's going to generate these kinds of emails because with Dawn of War, we really had both viewpoints, I think, expressed between me and Nick. So there's not.
How about my opinion of apathy and/or haven't played it yet? that wasn't very strongly expressed.
Yeah. Thanks, Jake. Yep. You're always informative.
So are we done?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool. Just I might as well throw out a quick note that a lot of the guys from Idle Thumbs UK who used to write for the site are now working at a company called BIT.TRIP Games. It's a small indie studio, and they've released a public beta of their game called Plain Sight, which you can get at plainsightgame.com, and I'm just plugging it because they're cool dudes.
Yeah, it also seems like a pretty cool game.
Yeah, check that out. Yeah.
Cool.
Internet games.
Oh, and also they're doing it in XNA, so... like the sort of game creator stuff for 360, but it's actually like a professionally developed game. So, yeah.
It's dudes.
Interesting.
Anyway,
Webs.
Video game.
There's one called Idle Thumbs.
See you later.